Hey, everyone. This is Andy Hall. You're watching the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. We got a bunch of stories today. News stories. What are we doing? What are we covering? Amazon. Not the river, the company. Florida, water. This seems to be like an aquatic theme this morning, Andy. The Oath Keeper's wife who had to do a GoFundMe campaign for funding her divorce. I wish I was making it up, but I'm not. Video. We're going to watch a little video about Major League Baseball and Atlanta. You probably know what I'm talking about here. And Medicare for all. I hope everyone's doing well. We're just going to switch over to something funny for a second before we dive in.
Like my stuff on the internet, I guess I get a lot of my self-worth from this. Some of your friends get married and become moms and dads. Some of your friends hoard guns and say they don't believe in masks. Friendship used to be more than a way to target ads. We spend our time staring into a piece of glass.
Friendship should be more than just a way to sell ads. Yeah, right. Friendship should be more than a way of selling ads. I was talking, I hope that some of you were here. I know some of you were here last night when we were talking about Facebook and the purge of atheist content. And one of the interesting points, and if you haven't seen it, please do. It's an interesting discussion. And we had Alan on, who's worked on a variety of atheist pages that have been banned. And we had Daniel Fisk Bennett, who's had some run-ins with Facebook. He's been on this channel a number of times. And of course, my co-host Jack Materko talking about Big Satan's experience with Facebook. And I think one of the solutions, and tell me if I'm wrong, chat, one of the solutions of dealing with Facebook is that there aren't any alternatives. And an alternative would be having a social media platform that is a nonprofit social media platform, something that you would not be made into a product. I think it is a way out of this idiocy, this kind of idiotic social media problems that we face, where content creators have to make sure that we just create a certain type of product that advertisers want to use. Just a thought there. Hope everyone's weekend's doing well. And that's I got a story. I got a story about my weekend. I don't know if anyone has any stories about their weekends. I got whenever, when my kids were younger, they would know something was coming when I said, I have a funny story about that. And they would be like, no, not another story from Dad, because typically my funny stories aren't that funny. There could be funny, but they have some kind of there's a horribleness to them. And I'm going to share with you one of the horribleness. So first I'm going to say hello to everyone. Brain bug. Did I see the rage in here? I saw the rage in here. Hope you're doing well, Rage. Hope you're feeling okay. Dr. Mordecai, how's it going? And of course, Simply Secular Dave from the West Coast. And I guess remember Sammy Jenkins. I guess the time has changed, your daylight savings time. So now it's earlier, so that's good. Tobin, what's up? John Hudson, yep, baseball. KCA Randy, Derek Cruz, Jess M. So yeah, I was actually Samuel Gray. It's marriage anniversary day today. Congratulations. So my weekend, I'm going to make a confession here. I was outside with people, outside, patio dining, far away from people, masked up. I wasn't out for too long. One of my girlfriend's old friends came in from out of town. My girlfriend's fully vaccinated. her friends are fully vaccinated, and I felt safe to like run out for maybe like an hour and a half or so. And this woman, and I'm not telling tales out of school, this is something she just talks about. She is a cancer survivor, and she was first diagnosed with cancer back in the day, maybe 15 years ago or so, 20 years ago. And she wasn't married at the time. She went in to see her doctor. And this is one of those horrible insurance stories, by the way, but it has a happy ending. She goes into her doctor and she goes, I have these lumps on my neck. I have lumps on my neck. Now, she's had a good relationship with that doctor for years. And the doctor goes, what you need to do right now is to go marry that boyfriend of yours and get on his insurance immediately. Just leave right now and just go do it. So that's what she did. She left. She went over to see her boyfriend, who was, fully employed, had good health insurance. And they went down to the courthouse and got married. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, yes, here in the United States of America, we do have cancer marriages. We have cancer marriages that are there due to cancer. Now, these two people were in love and they were going to get married anyway at some point. But the reason why they got married that day, the reason why they went into the into City Hall, was because of cancer. And yes, there are cancer marriages in the United States of America. And thank my fictitious God, her doctor had the wherewithal and the humanity not to automatically diagnose her right there or send her to tests. He wanted to make sure that she was fully insured before they entered that maelstrom. So yeah, cancer marriages, they're a thing, and that's my story from the weekend. Otherwise, my weekend was pretty good. I had a great show last night. I think it was a good show, at least. It was informative. And the nature of Facebook right now of just curtailing content to make sure it's beige enough, it's boring enough, it's not too exciting. It's like TV from the 1970s, early 1970s. Exciting enough to keep you watching, but doesn't push the boundaries at all. Simply Secular Dave goes, in Canada, we have way more cancer marriages because of CDN healthcare. I don't know what that is. Maybe you can tell me in the after show, Dave, if you're coming in. Hey, Rage. But yeah, cancer marriages here in the States. And there's that actually does kind of dovetail into our last story we're going to be covering today about Medicare for all and the COVID-19 crisis here in the States. Uh-oh. It's a family member's birthday tomorrow, and I haven't got her anything yet. Oh, I hope everyone's Easter. I don't know if anyone does anything for Easter. I had my kids over. We had some breakfast. I gave them chocolate chip pancakes. They were happy. Both of my kids' birthdays are next week, and so I had to get some. I took the opportunity at Easter breakfast to figure out what they wanted, at least one of them, what they wanted for breakfast. Wanted for their birthday, and so I got them. I ordered from Amazon a drawing guide, anatomy guide, because my youngest is really into art. She's a talented artist, painting and drawing, other mediums. All right. Should I, because of Canadian, so we have more cancer marriages because of Canadian healthcare. Yeah, you're gonna have to talk to me about that later on. Because I would think that there'd be less cancer marriages if everyone had health care. That's what I would just assume, but that's just me. What are we going to talk about? Let's do some memes. You guys want to do some memes? Let's do some memes before we get into Amazon. Now, this is a special. Hey, Paul Camish. How you doing, Paul? Paul Camish, thank you for the donation. Happy Zombie Jesus Day, everyone. I hope everyone had a lovely Zombie Jesus Day, too. I dropped a video on Saturday. It was my entire conversation with Jason from Dragons and Genesis, where we talked about Easter, and we covered a whole ton of different topics, too. I always learn a lot when I talk with Jason. But thanks for the donation there, Paul Camish. Every penny counts. Actually, I'm doing a Zoom job interview later on today at noontime. Going to be doing an interview, a little bit about me. I'm doing an interview for an overnight position at a residential house with people who have disabilities. So I'm doing that at noontime today. I'm pretty excited about that. All right. Let's do this thing. First meme. Let's do first meme. And it's Easter themed. He is risen, Pillsbury Doughboy. He is unleavened. That he is not unleavened. He's not unleavened. He has leavening agents in him. That's why he's rising. I found this next image. It speaks to me. It speaks to me personally. I'm at that awkward stage between birth and death. Oh, I've been at that awkward stage for quite a while. Oh, yes, Jesse Bear. Good to see you this morning. You know, October is my favorite month. I have to say that, KCA Brandy. I have to say that October is my favorite month. All right, let's go to the next joke. Next joke. Is it cat related? Maybe it is. Let me love you. All right. We usually do 3 of these, but my buddy Nathan Timmel, comedian, author, he was on the Late Show a few weeks ago. He sent me this morning, and I thought I'd have to share it with you. There was wine in his system. Oh, it's funny and it hurts at the same time. It's Blue Lives Matter, people. I'm going to check out the chat before we go to the first story. It's funny because it's true. That's what it is. That is correct. And cats. That's right, Jesse Bear. Cats. All right. So what's the first? Oh, Amazon. This has to do about the unionization or the attempted unionization of that Amazon facility down in Alabama. But just like everything else, it just gets weird. There's a weird left turn here. Amazon apologizes for wrongly denying drivers need to urinate in bottles. Wow, that's a story that hits hard on Monday morning. You think that you're just going to go into some kind of puppy dog and rainbows story, but no, we're going hip deep into it. Amazon apologizes for wrongly denying drivers need to urinate in bottles. Amazon has apologized to a U.S. politician for falsely denying that drivers are, at times, forced to urinate in plastic bottles. So I know what you're thinking to yourselves. Does Amazon give drivers plastic bottles to pee in? I'm guessing not. I am guessing not. I'm just thinking that this is just something that drivers have to do. Mark Pocan, I'm going to go with Pocan, I guess. A Democrat from Wisconsin referenced Amazon making, quote, workers urinate in water bottles, unquote, in a tweet. The official Amazon Twitter account then replied, if that were true, nobody would work for us. What a load of bullshit. What a load of bullshit that is. Well, you see, if you're starving and you have no health insurance, and if you can't pay the rent, then you're going to take that crappy job, even if you have to urinate in a bottle. What a load of crap. And I just want to say this. Amazon, if we remember that story from last week, we're paying people, making fake Twitter accounts to propagate propaganda, anti-union propaganda too. So Amazon will never learn. The official Twitter account then replied, if that were true, nobody would work for us. The company has now apologized after evidence emerged of drivers having to urinate in bottles. We owe an apology to Representative Pocan, Amazon said in a statement. I know what you're thinking, but let's just continue with the story. The tweet was incorrect. It did not contemplate our large driver population and instead wrongly focused on our fulfillment centers. It added that its fulfillment centers all have dozens of toilets that employees could use at any time. Anytime. Several news outlets then quoted numerous Amazon employees who confirmed that they had been left with little option but to urinate in plastic bottles while working. They also described relentless working practices both in its fulfillment centers and delivery drivers. The Intercept also said it obtained internal documents suggesting that Amazon executives were aware that was happening. What? A big business? Their executives knew what was going on and they lied about it? Shocked. Mr. Pocan rejected the apology on Saturday, tweeting, "Sigh. This is not about me. This is about your workers who you don't treat with enough respect or dignity. Start by acknowledging the inadequate working conditions you've created for all your workers. Then fix that for everyone and finally let them unionize without interference." Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama voted in a historic poll last week to decide whether or not they want to be represented by the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union. The effort has been strongly opposed by Amazon. The results are not expected until this week. This was done last week, the story. If they vote yes, it will become Amazon's first U.S. union. Amazon has successfully fought off union efforts elsewhere in the U.S. However, most of its European facilities are unionized. It's almost as if unions will not destroy Amazon. Might mean that Jeff Bezos doesn't have a couple of extra $1 billion at the end of the day, but I'm comfortable with that. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Open. Being a driver for a company, it did happen at times, like getting stuck in traffic. I would totally piss in a bottle. Yep. Fulfillment centers. Yes, warehouses. Hey, Paul Cameron says, I'm at 96 subs. I need 4 more to go to 100. So if anyone wants to help out, give Paul does good work. And he did this episode of Best Advice Ever too, which meant a lot for me, and it was a really good episode. See, now here it is. Jesse Bear points it out, right? Lays it down. As a female, that peeing in bottles is not an option. If I worked for Amazon, I would assume I would have to go full diaper. That's, Jesse Bear, I'm going to just take this a little bit further. I'm guessing that Amazon already has female employees right now who are drivers, who are in fulfillment centers that already have to wear diapers just because they can't get a break, just because they can't have access to a bathroom when they need it. That's what I'm going to guess. I don't think that's a stretch either, anyone. I don't think that's a stretch. All right. And all right. So let's see. So that was our Amazon story for today about Amazon getting into more trouble on Twitter. All right, let's see what do we have next? Florida. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, this is going to be a story about human progress, about life getting better, about progressive politics taking hold in the Sunshine State. No, that's no. We all know better than that, right? Florida declares state of emergency over toxic wastewater leak. And the Republicans living in Florida right now who have to deal with this wastewater leak are probably the same ones who are saying, we don't need an infrastructure bill. That money, we don't need that. A state of emergency has been declared in Florida after a leak from a large pond of toxic wastewater in Tampa Bay. More than 300 homes in the area have been ordered to be evacuated, and a motorway near Piney Point Reservoir has been closed off. Residents were sent a text telling them to leave home immediately. Officials said the 77-acre, 31-hectare reservoir holds millions of gallons of water containing phosphorus and nitrogen from an old phosphate plant. The pond where the leak was found is in a stack of phosphogypsum, a radioactive waste product from the manufacturer of fertilizer. It just seems like every single story from Florida, you go to yourself, wow, that's something horrible that's happening down there. And then you read down just in the first paragraph and it's like, it's even worse than I thought. It's even worse than I thought. The water contains small amounts of naturally occurring radium and uranium, and the stacks can also release radon gas. Attempts to repair the leak late on Friday by plugging the hole with rocks and other materials were successful. It gives you the impression they were just throwing crap into that hole. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency on Saturday. Manatee County Administrator Scott Hopes told a press conference that there were concerns the water could flood the area, which is mostly agricultural. Wow, bad infrastructure. Destroying just having this ripple effect. This kind of one domino falls, another domino falls, another domino falls. Thousands of gallons per minute is being currently pumped out of the reservoir now to bring the volume of water down, while other workers have been charting the path to control the flow of water. By declaring a state of emergency, funds can be released to send more pumps and cranes into the area. That sounds like socialism, everyone. That sounds socialism. It sounds like socialism to me. Jesus Christ. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, can't they just say, that's right, brain bug. They should just get bootstraps and just plug that hole of the toxic water spewing hundreds of gallons onto agricultural farmland. Can't people just do it themselves? Isn't there a libertarian answer to that? Jeez. Well, this is true. Jesse Bear talking about UTIs and yeah. Here it is. UTIs would be very likely, as I assume you don't have enough time. We're talking about, of course, the Amazon story right now, and I was guessing that there has to be a few female employees of Amazon who can't urinate in a bottle and have to wear diapers. It's America, United States of America has one of the lowest countries for workers' protections amongst industrialized states. All right, so what have we gone over so far? Amazon getting it wrong on Twitter. Florida. Toxic waste spewing out onto agricultural land. Ron DeSantis, I'm going to guess, is against the infrastructure bill that would actually help things like this not happening. And does it get weirder from here? Oh, it gets stranger. That's what it does. I guess this is the time that I should point out that we're doing the after show from 10 to 11, doing this show until 9:55 a.m. And then this is basically an open room. Link to the after show is down in the description if you want to pop in and just talk. So this next story, the next story is about this guy. Well, it isn't just about this guy. It's about his wife and their marriage. You're going to get a little bit of Schadenfreude here. You're going to get a little, here. The wife of the leader of the Oath Keepers is asking for $30,000 in public donations to help her escape her weird marriage. How could she have a weird marriage to this guy? How is that possible? He looks like an upstanding citizen. He has that definitely, I'm not a fascist look to him. The wife of the leader of the Oath Keepers is asking for $30,000 in donation to fund their divorce. The divorce of Tasha Adams and Stuart Rhodes has been pending for more than 3 years. Adams said the current spotlight on her husband emboldened her to seek financial help. The estranged wife of the leader of the far-right extremist group, the Oath Keepers, has launched a GoFundMe page to help pay for her divorce, BuzzFeed reported this week. Tasha Adams, 48, is asking for $30,000 in donations to pay off overdue legal bills and hire a new attorney to complete her divorce from Stuart Rhodes, which has been pending for more than 3 years. It's certainly not easy to find a lawyer willing to go ahead against a person who is not only a graduate of Yale Law, but also commands their own private army, as well as having to access a team of equally infamous attorneys surrounding him. Adams wrote on a GoFundMe. Nonetheless, I'm confident that somewhere out there is an advocate willing to be my huckleberry. Willing to be my huckleberry? Odd phrasing. Rhodes, an Army veteran, founded the Oath Keepers in 2019. The organization recruits active and former military and law enforcement officers who swear an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Adams and Rhodes, who met in Las Vegas, who would have guessed married in 1994 and have 6 children together, according to BuzzFeed News. The fundraiser was posted 5 days ago and has raised almost $4,000. I hope she gets out of that marriage. And yeah. That beard is a choice. This beard here, yes, that beard is a choice. And I couldn't tell whether or not his eye, I don't know if that's a reflection, if it's just a black eye patch. At first I thought it was a camouflage eye patch, and it still might be a camouflage eye patch. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's got the whole vibe. He's got the whole, vibe of something wrong going on. Well, people, what's up, James Henry? Good to see you. I was lucky with my own divorce. It didn't cost us a whole lot of money. We did nothing but mediation. But people in really nasty divorces, it could suck up a lot of money and a lot of time. It looks like a tattooed eye patch, indeed. Rage. I think there could have been some red flags for her. I think there could have been some red flags about him. Yes, way before, and they had so many kids too. Don't you think at some point you're like, maybe he is just not father material. Maybe this guy is not dad material. Maybe he's not the long-term guy. Possibly, perhaps. He might have the mange, some kind of disease. Oh, he definitely looks like he has some kind of disease. Right, this is about halfway through the show. Hard to believe. 27 minutes into the show already. Let's do the halftime. Some halftime. Hey. Oh, wait a minute. Simply Secular Dave says he wears an eye patch because someone told him to Sharpie in the white part of his eye. One night was on Neighborhood Watch. Indeed. Simply Secular Dave. Well, that's a good point. She might have had some cult indoctrination, not strong enough to realize that. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, as a person who has survived, let's see, I had a girlfriend who was like legit in a cult. And that relationship lasted 2.5, 3 years. Yeah. I could see how, you get into a relationship and you don't realize how nutty the other person is until you really, it's the sunk cost fallacy. A lot of bad relationships, they continue because of the sunk cost fallacy. And the sunk cost fallacy is that I put all this time and energy into this thing that I'm doing, in this case, a relationship. And so I just can't walk away from it. Can I? That's the sunk cost fallacy, the basis of many long-term bad marriages right there. All right. Halftime show, everyone.
This is how you tell the difference between a purebred dog and an inbred dog. This is a purebred dog. And this is an inbred dog. See?
Okay. It's so stupid, I'm going to do it again.
This is how you tell the difference between a purebred dog and an inbred dog. This is a purebred dog. And this is an inbred dog. See?
I laugh way too much at that, everyone. 6 kids. 6 kids. That's a lot of kids, Jesse Bear. I have this theory that any more than 2 there's like, once again, if we were going to graph it out, there's a positive correlation between the more kids you have and the greater chance you're in a cult. Right? That's a little bit of fun sunshine right there. All right, so what are we doing? Oh, man, I think I'm going to talk about Major League Baseball. As many of you know, Major League Baseball is canceled. What is it? The interleague play, that game there that I'm listing where it's All-Star game. It's the All-Star game. It's right there, Indy Hall. They have canceled the All-Star game in Georgia due to the state's restriction of voting rights. Here's a little video about it. Bring us up to speed.
Tonight, Major League Baseball announcing it's moving this season's All-Star game and MLB draft out of Atlanta, Georgia. The reason is the state's new law on voting. The league saying in a statement, quote, Major League Baseball fundamentally supports voting rights for all Americans and opposes restrictions to the ballot box. Fair access to voting continues to have our game's unwavering support. Leaders from more than 100 companies, including Target, Snapchat, and Uber, issued a public statement today opposing any measures that deny eligible voters the right to cast ballots. Up front now, the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. And President Johnson, I appreciate your time. The PGA says they're going to stick with their plan just a moment ago, but the MLB coming out and saying this obviously caught everyone's attention. It's a significant headline. How consequential do you think this decision is by the MLB?
Well, I commend the commissioner of Major League Baseball and all the team owners for stepping up in this moment to protect our democracy. Republicans have to understand, particularly those in Georgia, you cannot steal your way through elections. You cannot suppress votes. This is not 1930. And corporate America should not tolerate our undermining and subverting our democracy. So I commend Major League Baseball and all of the corporations who are stepping up in this moment.
So let me ask you about, sort of from two sides, some questions here. One, from Democratic Georgia State Representative Terry Anulowicz. And she tweeted, quote, I am intensely frustrated by the MLB decision today. I am also intensely frustrated by our GOP leadership here in Georgia. I hope other major events don't leave Georgia. This only hurts working Georgians. So what do you think at this point? I mean, there are, people in Georgia who rely on jobs from something like these MLB events who, of course, now will lose that. Does she have a point?
But when you take the right to vote from working Georgians, that's what hurt more than anything else. Entertainment, business activity is the outcome of our democracy, and our democracy must be protected. And it only can be protected if we have a true representative democracy where people participate. So at the end of the day, what hurts working class Georgians more than anything else is a subverting of democracy. Individuals trying to steal elections, control outcomes, and suppress votes. That's what hurts more than anything else.
So I wanted to read from you just an excerpt from the Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's statement. I know you've seen it, but just so for our viewers, President, here's a quote of part of it. Georgians and all Americans should fully understand what the MLB's knee-jerk decision means. Cancel culture and woke political activists are coming for every aspect of your life, sports included. The attack on our state is the direct result of repeated lies from Joe Biden and Stacey Abrams about a bill that expands access to the ballot box and ensures the integrity of our elections. What do you say to Governor Kemp?
Governor Kemp participated in the attempted theft of the rights of Georgians to vote. You cannot have an inverted argument and blame those that are standing up for justice. And in fact, there was nothing that my close friend Stacey Abrams did, President Biden did. This was the activities of the legislative body of Georgia and signed by the governor. Honor our Constitution, be true patriots, play the process in a way in which everyone should be able to participate. We fight wars to ensure democracy abroad. We should fight here to ensure democracy is afforded to citizens in this country and citizens of the state of Georgia.
So Governor Kemp has, over the past few days, given examples of things in the bill that he says are being purposefully ignored. So, for example, yesterday he said Biden should look at Georgia's voting laws side by side with Biden's home state of Delaware. And then Kemp went on to compare the two. He said Georgia has no excuse absentee voting. Delaware does not. Kemp noted Georgia allows drop boxes, limited, yes, but Delaware doesn't have them at all. Now, they did have them in 2020 for the pandemic. Unclear if that will continue. There's nothing in their law. What do you say to Kemp's points here, where he's saying, look, this is just deeply unfair?
This is about the state of Georgia, not any of the other 49 states. He should focus on being governor of Georgia, making sure the Constitution is upheld and allow all citizens to fully participate without suppressing votes. What was wrong with the November election other than it turned out differently than he wanted to? There is no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of a problem. We had a system that was carried out in November. 3 counting of the ballots all came up the same. Stop tampering with the outcome of the election by trying to fix the vote before the election takes place. Stand up as a governor and represent all of the state, not some of the people.
We're calling these the new $1 billion.
Indeed. Kemp, typical Republican response is whataboutism, made popular by the Soviet Union and the KGB during the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. Whenever there was a criticism, they would respond with, well, what about you? And this is what Kemp did. It's like, well, what about Delaware? Sure. Georgia is I want to make, Republicans want to make Georgia a steaming pile of crap. But what about Delaware? What about it? It's just a distracting technique, a cheap rhetorical ploy by Republicans. That's what it is. Well, Jesse Bear says, I live in the Northeast in mostly a liberal area. Me too. I feel like they're talking about a different country at times. Then again, I live close to the Amish. Oh, right. At least they don't get involved with politics. Amish, shoe fly pie. I haven't had any shoe fly pie for years. And Paul Camish, I just want to let you know that I am trying to kill you. That's exactly my vast plan right there is to kill people, in the chat. Let's see. Going through the chat, seeing what everyone's talking about. And one kid's so you have 7 kids. Like I said, there's a correlation. It doesn't mean causation. People, there are large families definitely out there that aren't religious, and some people just really like having kids. Some people are naturally happy. I've been able to wrap my mind around this. Some people are just naturally happy. Some people are just naturally want to have like a large family. I can wrap my mind around it. Me too. 2 was just about enough for me. Yeah. Let's see. What else? I think Trump might have stopped drinking Coke to make the Coke company sell. And I have to tell you is that I've had many conversations with atheists about boycotting the Boy Scouts of America selling their Christmas trees years ago, and whenever Christmas comes around. And because of the Boy Scouts of America, their anti-atheist official stance. And boycotts work, whether... boycotts are part of the strategy. They're part of the arsenal that groups have to use to get rights, to fight for freedom. It's just one of the strategies. And Major League Baseball, if they leave Georgia, then, this is what happens when you have D-bags running your state. Well, this is it, Tobin, about this whataboutism, right? A red herring, like a dog with a bone, and won't let go of the argument. Yeah. So what else we got going on in the chat here? So, I think Jesse was saying that, my peers started recently in their 30s. So, yeah. Kids are a lot of work. It's one of the things that I like hanging, because my kids both are atheists, and I raised them to be atheists. In fact, if anything, I've raised them to be anti-theists too, and I don't have a problem with saying that whatsoever. So while they may not be firebrand atheists, I always treated my kids that they are funded by a cult. Yeah, effing right, brain bug. They're funded by a freaking cult. So on these religious holidays like Easter, when they came over, we did some basic, what do Christians actually believe? about Jesus and what have they historically believed about Easter and the resurrection. Yeah, my son begged. You know what? I have to tell you, this is the thing about raising kids as anti-theists. Whenever we walked by a Boy Scout propaganda, whether it was a table, it's like those people think you are lesser. That organization doesn't treat you like a human being every single time. And I have to tell you, yeah, every single time not every single time we pass by a Catholic church, but many times we pass through a Catholic church when they were younger. And even now it's like, oh, that's where the pedophiles are. That's the institution that protects and nourishes pedophiles. Not every single time, but a lot of the times. Whenever there was a Boy Scout flyer that came into my house from the school, it'd be like, those people don't like atheists. They didn't like the LGBTQ community until they were forced, coerced into accepting. Yeah, every single time, Jesse Bear. I know that makes me sound like a crazy person, but I wanted to inoculate my kids against, a world that will not treat them well because they're atheists. Simply Secular Dave says, I just started moving into a house that had Christmas lights on it. I took them down on day 2. I told the landlord that they were non-LED lights. I wouldn't use them. Anyway, technically not a lie. Indeed. Yeah. The thing is that there's this atheists can't officially join the Scouts. Certain groups, like local groups, will say, well, we'll look the other way. And the idea about having my child join an organization that explicitly states that they are not moral enough to join the organization, it is just gets me crazy. I was a Cub Scout too, Rage. I was a Cub Scout for maybe 6 months or so. That's good. This is the right response. I was a Cub Scout. My mother found out about their homophobic stances and her best friend being gay. Yeah. Pulled this out. It's good for them. Well, yeah, you're right about that, Sammy Jenkins. Jehovah's Witnesses are taking the role of that organization that protects pedophiles. Yeah, and really, it's about the Catholic Church being such a worldwide and powerful organization, too. And you know what? That's just part of the sins, the secular sins of the Catholic Church, too. But yeah. I was not allowed in Scouts. Yeah. You're an Eagle Scout? Well, there was actually a prominent person within the atheist community here in the Boston area who became an Eagle Scout when they were younger. And now he cannot, but now he can't even volunteer for the organization. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. So he was an Eagle Scout when he was younger, and he tried. Now he's an out of the closet atheist, prominent atheist, in fact, in the Boston area. And now the Scouts will not even allow him to volunteer. Well, the Girl Scouts, the thing is, and many of you already know this, with the Boy Scouts is that the Boy Scouts have to be affiliated with a church. They have to be affiliated with a church. Each chapter has to be affiliated with a church. The Girl Scouts don't have that structure. So that's one of the reasons why the Girl Scouts are far more liberal, progressive, reasonable. Yeah, I was a Cub Scout, and I had a good time too. Of course, the thing is about being part of these organizations when you're a kid is that you don't realize, how crooked they are at the very top, or their policies. All right, I think I'm caught up with the, oh, here we go. Jesse Bear, I've been told by cult-level religious people I'm more horrible as an atheist for having kids. You must be doing something right then. Job well done. 2 thumbs up. All right. Let's see what we got going on here for the last story. The last story? Are we actually at the last story right now? I believe we are. Oh, Medicare for all. How to deal with COVID. There is a solution. a COVID survivor's life or death battle for Medicare for all. Mariana Pineda, I'm going with that, was hospitalized with COVID-19 and pneumonia last April and can only afford treatment via GoFundMe. Oh, my fictitious God, GoFundMe again. Now she's using her energy to fight for healthcare programs. I forget the percentage. Someone in the chat may remember this because we covered this in a story about the percentage of GoFundMe campaigns to fund cancer. Therapies, cancer therapies, chemotherapies, cancer therapies. I think it was something like 30% on GoFundMe. 30% of the campaigns on GoFundMe are for medical bills. That's just a number I dimly remember from weeks ago when we covered this story. A few things about Mariana Pineda's body have worked properly since she was hospitalized with COVID-19 and pneumonia last April. One day she was seeing a specialist to get nodules on her thyroid biopsied. Another day is a trip to the ER after her hand swelled and turned red, symptoms of yet another high blood pressure crisis. She pays over $3,000 a month for health insurance to cover her constant stream of treatment, which she can only afford with the help of a GoFundMe online fundraiser. She is too sick to work and is a single mother. Her only income is child support payments. Amid all of this, Pineda is finished with doctor's appointments for the day, and her 4-year-old is asleep. She uses her last stores of energy to fight for the government-run healthcare system, Medicare for All, and its New York State equivalent. Pineda is one of many activists and lawmakers making COVID-19 part of their calls to reshape the U.S. healthcare system to provide universal coverage. In mid-March, Democratic representatives, I'm not going to try to pronounce that name, Jayapal maybe, and Debbie Dingell introduced the Medicare for All Act on the anniversary of COVID-19 being confirmed in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. The bill has the support of more than half the Democrats. Well, as many of you know, the Democratic Party isn't really a left party here in the United States of America. It's more like a Republican light party, except for the progressive wing. The bill has the support of more than half the Democrats, but is unlikely to pass the House. In the Senate, several Democrats instead are pushing for the public option, a government-run health insurance to exist alongside private health insurance. Both reforms seek to make health insurance more affordable, easier to access, and less costly, and are being weighed by several state governments. Here's the kicker. Of course, right? It's difficult for me not to get into arguments with people about healthcare. It's difficult for me not to get into arguments about people with sex, politics, or religion. It's just hard in everyday life. I think actually the pandemic and quarantining has helped me at least not getting into face-to-face confrontations with people about these kind of things. Partnership for America's Healthcare Future, a lobby which represents hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, and health insurers, is already spending millions to fight against the reform. In Colorado, the group has bought $1 million in TV ads to run this spring before a bill was even introduced. These ads, which warn of politicians having more control over people's healthcare, have been effective against health reform for decades, explained health policy expert Colleen Grogan. The evidence from the past suggests that these advertisements really work, and that's why they keep doing them, said Grogan, professor at the University of Chicago's Family School of Social Work Policy and Practice. How many of us remember when Hillary Clinton was trying to do healthcare reform back in the 90s, and it was destroyed by these ads on TV and gullible Americans? Activists must also contend with a more moderate wing, Republican wing of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden has not endorsed Medicare for All, and his healthcare efforts have been so far focused on expanding the Affordable Care Act. The president has already had success. The last stimulus package included $61 billion to expand insurance subsidies and coverage under the ACA and other federal programs for 2 years. More than 4 out of 10 people without health insurance are now eligible for free or nearly free plan. Wow, 4 out of 10 people. I have tell me this. If you're in a company and your goal is to sell widgets, or when does 4 out of 10 besides baseball? When is batting 400 acceptable? 4 out of 10 people without insurance are now, they can now get some kind of insurance. That's not carrying the torch of healthcare being a basic human right. Healthcare being a basic human right means 10 out of 10 people have free or low cost healthcare insurance. That's what it means. That's what it means to have a human right for healthcare. It isn't 4 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10. Freaking Americans. Freaking system. Dude, there's a whole, just like, I've had friends who have gone on disability, and sometimes they need lawyers because it's just assumed that you're going to get rejected the first time. There's just an assumption that you're going to get rejected the first time when you're trying to go for disability, and that you'll have to try to apply again. And also, having worked with people, done case management, managed houses for people with disabilities, actually keeping that status of being officially having a disability so you can keep your benefits, that is also difficult. Yeah, it's charity. Once again, individual charity is a sign that the system itself is not working. The idea that we have to rely on billionaire, philanthropists for basic services, that is a sign of the system decaying around us. Here it is. That's what I thought. Thank you, Dave. GoFundMe says 1 in 3 is for medical expenses. So 1 in 3 campaigns on GoFundMe is for medical expenses. And a vast majority of those are for cancer. 4 out of 10, though. We should be freaking happy. This is the message from the Biden administration. We should be happy with 4 out of 10 people with no insurance getting access to insurance. I can't freaking... Who? Let's see. Yes, there is. That's right, Jesse Bear. There are secularist versions of the Scouts that are progressive. There are definitely options. Simply Secular. Dave says, reminder, if you're jumping on the after show, now is a good time to put on pants. Pants. Good policy. The thing is, Samuel, most conservative people believe that healthcare is not a basic right. And these are the same people who are going to go bankrupt, from healthcare bills, right? What is it? 20% of Americans. I heard this, and I think I stated this a couple of times already. I was listening to the Freakonomics podcast, and 20% of Americans are being contacted by creditors due to healthcare bills. Most bankruptcies in the United States of America are caused by healthcare bills. 20% of Americans, 1 in 5, are being, I can do that basic math. Thank you, public school system. 1 in 5 Americans are being contacted by creditors due to healthcare bills here in the States. It's insane. All right. Just breathing, man. I just got to breathe. And relax. All right. Somehow, yes, I just did the big hair twirl. Somehow attempted. We're going to try to turn our frowns upside down, have something funny, put a smile on our faces before transitioning to the after show and putting a bow on all of this. Let's do something clever, something funny, but you don't want to wear pants. No, yeah. Well, Rage, here it is, right? It's pushing a new report that 1 in 5 Americans can't afford healthcare. I'm looking into the study. It all matters what you're talking about the devil's in the details of the study. And you're right about looking into it. Because what are they talking about? You can't afford the premiums. What are you talking about? You can't afford the co-pays. Yeah, the devil's in the details with those kind of studies. All right. Let's do something funny.
There once was a cat with a hungry belly. The name of the cat was Whiskers Jelly. His throat was dry and his bowl was bare. Meow, me furry cats meow. Soon may the kittymen come with birds and mice and some tasty nums. One day when the critters come, we'll eat till our bellies are
full. I guess they had to cut off. TikTok only has so long for videos, but that made me feel better, right? A little sea shanty with a kitty. How can you not feel good about that? So everyone, after show at 10 a.m., I'm going to put a bow on this, and I'm going to do my thank you video for all the patrons and YouTube members. Thank you very much for your financial support. Every penny counts. And thanks for Paul Kamish for the live chat there for the £5 donations. So I'll see you at the after party, maybe. And if not, then maybe at 3 p.m. for Jenga, which I'm going to be doing today.